Taylor Swift sat at the long oak dining table in Travis Kelce's Kansas City home, her laptop open and a stack of papers spread out before her like a battlefield of names. A yellow highlighter twirled between her fingers, the faint hum of her Focus filling the quiet house. It was 3 months before their wedding, a day she'd dreamed of, planned for, obsessed over, and yet this list in front of her felt heavier than the diamond on her finger. Travis appeared in the doorway carrying 2 steaming mugs of coffee. His hair was damp from the shower, his workout shirt clinging slightly to his shoulders. "Fuel for the general," he teased, setting a cup beside her. Taylor smiled, a tired one. "I think I finally got it." The final guest list. Travis sat across from her, stretching his legs under the table. "All right, let's see what kind of damage we're dealing with." She hesitated, biting her lip. 312, he blinked. "Taylor, 312? We agreed under 250. "I know," she rushed to explain. "But it's impossible to cut people. Everyone's connected somehow. Friends, collaborators, family. If I remove one, it feels wrong." Travis leaned in as she turned the laptop toward him. Rows and columns filled the screen, color-coded names, categories labeled family, friends, music industry, NFL, mutuals, and one simply called important. As his eyes scanned the list, his smile slowly faded. "Taylor," he said quietly, "why are there 57 people under music industry?" She bristled. "Because those are people I work with. Producers, writers, my band, Marcus Chen?" He interrupted. "Didn't you fire him?" "We made up," she said defensively. "It'd be awkward not to invite him," he scrolled further. "Aaron Paulson, you said last month you hadn't spoken to him in years." Taylor's jaw tightened. "He worked on my first album, Travis. He's part of my story." "And what about this important section?" he asked, his tone cooling. 43 people. Your publicist's assistant, your Pilates instructor." Taylor's patience thinned. "Michelle's been there for me through so much. And yes, my financial advisor should be there. These people are part of my life." Travis sighed, rubbing his temples. "Okay, but let's talk about my side." "Of course," he pointed at the bottom of the spreadsheet. "I've got 32 people. You've got 280. The air went still. "That's not fair," Taylor protested softly. "You just have a smaller circle." "It's not about size," he said, his voice low but sharp. "It's about balance. My college roommate didn't make the cut, but your Pilates instructor did? My best friend Marcus isn't on here, but half your label's office is?" The words landed between them like thunder. Taylor's cheeks flushed as frustration and guilt tangled inside her. "Derek lives in Australia," she said, her voice tight. "You really want him to fly 20 hours for a wedding?" "Maybe I do," Travis shot back. "Maybe I want the people who actually know me there. Not just teammates you've met twice and their wives you go to brunch with. That's not fair." Taylor's voice rose, trembling between hurt and anger. "Brittany is my friend. The team wives have been so welcoming to me." "I'm not saying they're not your friends," Travis interrupted, running his hands through his hair. "I'm saying this whole list looks like one of your industry galas with a few football players sprinkled in so it doesn't seem one-sided. It doesn't feel like our wedding. It feels like another Taylor Swift production." Taylor froze. The words hit her like a slap. "Another Taylor Swift production?" She repeated, her voice shaking. "You think that's what this is?" "Look at it," he said, pushing the laptop toward her. "Be honest. Does this list feel like ours?" She stared at the glowing screen. Hundreds of names blurred before her eyes. "I've been working on this for months," she whispered. "Trying to make it perfect." "Perfect for who?" Travis said softly. "Because right now, it feels like you made sure everyone important to you is there, but almost no one important to me." The room fell silent. The only sound, the faint ticking of the clock on the wall. Taylor's throat tightened. "You think I did this on purpose? That I don't care about your people?" "That's not what I said," Travis replied, but his voice was raw now. "I'm just asking if you ever thought about what I wanted. Or if you only thought about what would look good, who would be impressed, who you couldn't leave out without causing headlines." Her breath caught. "How dare you?" she whispered. "You think I'd treat our wedding like a PR event?" He looked at her steadily. Then tell me why your publicist is on the list but my best man's wife isn't. Taylor blinked, confused. What? Marcus's wife, Jennifer. She's not here. Taylor scrolled through the spreadsheet in a panic. That's an oversight. I must have deleted her by accident. Travis shook his head slowly. You were so busy making sure your career circle was complete, you forgot the people who actually matter. Tears filled Taylor's eyes. That's not true, isn't it? He said quietly. Because when I look at this, I don't see a wedding about us. I see your world, with me squeezed into the corners. Taylor's breath came in shallow bursts. The air between them felt sharp, heavy with everything unsaid. What do you want me to do, Travis? She finally asked, her voice trembling. Tell my producers, my band, my team that they can't come because my fiancé thinks there are too many of them? I just want you to see what I see, Travis said, exhaustion edging his tone. 300 people and barely 40 are there for me. The rest are for you, your career, your image. My image? Taylor repeated, her voice going cold. He hesitated. You've built your whole life on being strategic, Tay. You've always known how to manage relationships, who to keep close. I just think... She cut him off, her voice breaking. You think I'm using our wedding for publicity? That's not what I said. It's exactly what you said. She cried, tears spilling freely now. You called me strategic, like I'm calculating this whole thing. Like I don't love you, like this is just another business move. Taylor, that's not... Get out, Travis froze. What? Get out, she repeated, her voice rising with each word. If you really think I'm that shallow, that heartless, then I can't even look at you right now. Go stay at Jason's or a hotel. I don't care. He looked stunned, wounded. You don't mean that. Right now? She whispered, her voice trembling between fury and heartbreak. Yes, I do. Because if you think I'm capable of treating this wedding like a PR stunt, then maybe we shouldn't be getting married at all. The words struck like lightning. Travis's face went pale. Do you mean that? Taylor wanted to take it back, wanted to run to him, to undo it, but the anger burned too hot. Yes, she said, barely above a whisper. I mean it. For a long moment they just stared at each other. Then Travis turned, walked out of the room, and the sound of the front door closing felt like the world itself collapsing. Taylor sank into her chair, the spreadsheet still glowing on the screen, mocking her. The perfect list, the perfect plan, and yet everything that mattered had just fallen apart. When her phone buzzed minutes later, she saw his name flash across the screen. Staying at Jason's. We both need some space. Taylor stared at the message through blurred tears, then looked back at the list, the names, the categories, the endless details, and for the first time, she began to wonder if maybe he was right. Taylor woke the next morning with a pounding headache and mascara smudged across her pillow. She'd cried herself to sleep on the couch, the glow of her laptop still lingering in her dreams. The house was quiet, eerily quiet without Travis's laugh echoing down the hall. She moved through the kitchen like a ghost, making coffee she didn't want, replaying every word from the night before. Her phone sat face down on the counter, silent, until it suddenly began to ring. Donna Kelce. For a second, Taylor's stomach dropped. She almost didn't answer. The last thing she could handle was Travis's mother hearing about their fight. But something, maybe guilt, maybe love, made her pick up. Hi, she said softly, her voice raw from crying. Taylor, honey. Donna's voice came through, calm and warm. Travis called me last night. He's at Jason's. He's upset, and I think he's scared. Taylor closed her eyes. I didn't mean to hurt him, Donna. It just got out of control. I don't even know how it got so bad. I know, Donna said gently, but I need you to listen to me for a minute, all right? Because Ed and I had almost the exact same fight before our wedding. That caught Taylor off guard. You did? Oh, yes, Donna chuckled softly. I wanted a huge celebration, every friend, every cousin, every distant relative. And Ed wanted something small, intimate. We fought for weeks. Then one night he said something that I'll never forget. Taylor waited, breath held. He told me, Donna, when I look at our guest list, I don't see our future. I see your past. The words hit Taylor so deeply she couldn't speak. "I didn't understand then," Donna continued, her tone calm and wise. "But he explained that a wedding isn't about showing the world who you were. It's about honoring the life you're building together. Every person in that room should be someone who will still be in your life 5, 10 years from now. Someone who'll show up when things get hard. Someone who'll still be cheering when the music stops." Taylor pressed a hand to her heart. "How do you know who those people are?" she whispered. "You don't," Donna said simply. "You just do your best guess. But I think what Travis was trying to tell you, in his clumsy emotional way, is that when he looked at that list, he didn't see enough space for the future you two are creating." Taylor's eyes filled again. "He said it looked like my life with him squeezed in." "Exactly," Donna said. "That's how Ed felt, too. So we sat down together, and we went name by name. For each one we asked, will this person still matter when we have kids? When life gets messy? When we're old and gray? And anyone who didn't pass that test, we let them go." Taylor tried to laugh, but it came out as a sob. "Donna, I can't just uninvite half the music industry. These people are important relationships." Donna's voice softened even more. "Are they truly important, Taylor, or just comfortable? I know networking matters in your world, but your wedding day isn't a business conference. It's the day you promise my son forever, and forever isn't built on guest lists. It's built on love and presence." When they hung up, Taylor sat in silence. The coffee had gone cold, but something in her heart had shifted. She opened her laptop again. The same spreadsheet glowed before her, but this time she didn't see connections and categories. She saw faces, and she heard Donna's voice whispering, "Will they still be there when the spotlight is gone?" Taylor stared at the screen, her fingers hovering above the keyboard as if afraid of what they were about to do. The names that once looked like power and prestige now stared back at her like strangers. Marcus Chen, the producer she hadn't spoken to since before Folklore. Aaron Polson, a name from a chapter long closed. 3 record label executives she'd only ever exchanged polite nods with at award shows. Her Pilates instructor, her publicist's assistant, her financial advisor. One by one, she began to delete them. Each click was painful at first, a tiny betrayal of habit and obligation. But with every name she removed, something inside her loosened. The spreadsheet that had once felt like armor now began to breathe. When she was done, she sat back in her chair and exhaled. The list was still long, but lighter, cleaner, and for the first time, it felt real. Then she opened a blank document and typed a new heading at the top. People Travis would want there. Her hands trembled as she started writing names. Or rather, questions. Who were his college roommates? Who was the coach he mentioned once, the one who believed in him when he was 14? Who was Marcus from Cincinnati, the friend he said taught him what loyalty meant? Who were the ones who made him laugh before the world knew his name? For every name she didn't know, she wrote a note to ask him. By the time she finished, the sun had shifted across the kitchen floor, and her heart felt raw but open, like she'd peeled back a layer she hadn't realized was hiding her own vulnerability. Taylor picked up her phone and typed a message, her thumbs hesitating before sending it. "Can we talk? Please come home." She set the phone down and waited. The silence stretched. Then, the sound of keys in the door. Travis stepped inside, looking exhausted, the kind of tired that comes not from lack of sleep but from heartbreak. His eyes were red. Hers weren't much better. They looked at each other for a long moment. "I'm sorry," they both said at once. Taylor burst into tears, crossing the room before he could even move. He caught her in his arms instantly, holding her tight, his chin resting against her hair. "I was wrong," she whispered into his chest. "You were right. I made it about appearances, about not offending people. I forgot what actually mattered. I'm sorry, too," Travis murmured, his voice rough. "I never should have said you were using me. That was cruel. I just felt like I was disappearing into your world." They stood like that for a long time, clinging to each other, both breathing in the quiet forgiveness that words alone couldn't offer. When Taylor finally pulled back, her eyes were swollen but steady. "I talked to your mom this morning," she said softly. Travis blinked. "You did?" "She told me about the fight she and your dad had before their wedding," Taylor explained. "And she asked me a question that changed everything." He tilted his head, waiting. She said, "When you look at your guest list, do you see your future or your past?" Travis's expression softened, a small smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Yeah," he said quietly. "That sounds like Mom." Taylor sat him down at the dining table, the same one where it had all fallen apart the night before. "I looked at the list again," she continued, opening her laptop. Really looked at it. And she was right. Half those people weren't part of our future. They were part of who I used to be. She turned the screen toward him. I cut 83 names. Everyone I couldn't honestly say would be part of our life 5 years from now. Every person who was there out of obligation, not love. Travis's eyes widened. "Taylor, you didn't have to—" "I did," she interrupted gently. "Because you were right, Travis. This isn't supposed to be another event for me to control. It's supposed to be our day, and I want it to feel like us." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Travis reached across the table, taking her hand. "Thank you," he said simply. "That means more than you know." Taylor squeezed his hand back. "But now I need your help. You have to tell me about your people, the ones who built you, who believed in you. I want to know them. I want them there." Travis smiled, the kind that was half gratitude, half relief. So for the next 3 hours, they rebuilt everything together. He told her about Derek, his college roommate who helped him through his hardest season. About Marcus from Cincinnati, who'd been his best friend since 3rd grade. About Coach Williams, the man who saw promise in a skinny teenager and changed his life. About the Pop Warner teammates who taught him loyalty and brotherhood before fame ever did. Taylor listened to every story like a love letter to the man she was marrying, adding each name with care, shaping their wedding into something that finally felt right. By the time they finished, the guest count sat at 237, balanced, intimate, real. Taylor leaned back, smiling through tears. "Now it feels like ours," Travis nodded. "It does." He pulled her close again, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "And for the record, I never cared how many people were there. I just wanted to feel like I belonged in the story." "You always did," she whispered. "I just needed to remember that." That evening they ordered takeout, curled up on the couch, and let a movie play softly in the background. For the first time in weeks, the silence between them felt safe again. 3 months later, the morning sun poured through the windows of a stone chapel nestled in the rolling Missouri countryside. White roses lined the aisle, soft strings played in the background, and outside, the world waited with anticipation. Inside, Taylor stood before the mirror in her dressing suite, her gown cascading like sunlight across the floor. But for once, she wasn't thinking about cameras or headlines or perfection. She was thinking about him, about the night they almost lost each other over a spreadsheet, about the way he'd looked at her when they rebuilt the list together, about the lesson Donna had taught her, that love isn't about who's watching. It's about who stays when no one is. When the doors opened and Taylor stepped into the chapel, the sight that met her eyes took her breath away. The crowd wasn't a blur of industry faces or VIP badges anymore. It was filled with laughter, warmth, and familiarity. Her parents sat beside Donna and Ed Kelce. Blake Lively smiled through tears in the second row. And near the back, she saw a man in a faded coaching jacket stand and place a hand over his heart. Coach Williams. As Taylor reached the altar, Travis's eyes found hers. No words, no grand gestures, just a look that said we made it. The ceremony was simple, sincere, and sacred. When they exchanged vows, Travis's hands shook slightly, and Taylor's voice broke on the word forever. But neither cared. Every imperfect moment made it real. Later, at the reception, Coach Williams stood to give a toast. His voice cracked as he looked at Travis. "I remember a skinny 14-year-old who doubted himself," he said. "And now I see a man of strength, of love, and of purpose. The same man who found someone strong enough to match him." Travis squeezed Taylor's hand beneath the table. "Thank you for listening," he whispered. She smiled through tears and whispered back, "Thank you for making me hear you." Around them, laughter and music filled the night. But for Taylor and Travis, the noise faded away. There was no audience, no spotlight, no pressure, just two people who had walked through the hardest conversation of their lives and come out stronger. Because love, they realized, wasn't built on perfection. It was built on humility, on forgiveness, on learning to listen even when it hurts. And as the night went on, surrounded by 237 people who truly loved them both, Taylor finally understood what Donna meant, that this wasn't her world with Travis squeezed in, it was their world, finally beginning.